Well, if you love the smooth sounds of jazz, then today's show is for you. Hi there and welcome to Go Southern Alberta. I'm Christy Pick and today we're hanging out at the Esplanade. Behind me here we have Rick Litt and Lyle Rebbeck performing, who are with Medicine Hat Jazz Fest. That's coming up June 22nd to the 29th. In just a few minutes we're going to hear from Lyle to learn all about this year's lineup, as well as a little bit of history of this festival. It's been going on for about 20 years here in the city. So stay tuned here on Shaw. Well, welcome back to the show. Once again, we are at the Esplanade today, and I'm joined by Lyle Rebbeck with Medicine Hat Jazz Fest. Lyle, Jazz Fest is coming up just around the corner, but I want to learn a little bit about the history of this event that we have.
Well, that's an interesting question. Who knew when we started all these years ago that we would still be going and it would be the size it is and then being embraced by the city the way it has? It actually started, the society started 24 years ago. A few of us at the college who were mostly classical players and getting into some jazz decided to go to Edmonton to the first ever Jazz Works Jazz Festival they had at the Yardbird Suite. We put a group together and we went up there, we had a blast. And you know what those things are like. On the way home we were saying, well, how could we bring something like that to Medicine Hat? So, in someone's living room a few days later, the idea of the Jazz Society was born. We formed the society. Tommy Banks, who's coming this year, played the first ever concert for us in the basement of the Legion. We had a great turnout. It was like the city said, yes, we're behind you. So for 6 years, we did year-round programming. And then someone got the idea of trying a festival and connecting it with the other Canadian jazz festivals. Maybe it was a little presumptuous on our part, to even think about, well, let's do what Montreal and Vancouver are doing. But we did. We started with a weekend, 2 days. We had local groups and one out-of-town act. What can I say? It was like there was this wave of energy that everything we did, it just was augmented. And then it was 3 days, and then it was 5 days. We're at 8 days now this year for our festival. We're doing many of the same performers that are right across the country, and not just the performers at the back of the book. We're doing many of the headliners here as well. About 100 musicians, over 50 acts happening through the course of those 8 days. So it really is like, the city kind of embraced it and said, yeah, we used to go to Saskatoon or Edmonton, but we're staying here. We're going to stay in Medicine Hat for the summer.
I think it really is outstanding. And, when I think of jazz, A, I think of Lyle Rebbeck, and B, I think of Jazz Fest. And I think that it's really cool how Medicine Hat has embraced this cultural side of everything that takes place here. You look at other things like Tongue on the Post Festival and things like that. So what sort of response do you get from the community as you do this event every year?
Well, let's face it, jazz in the biggest of markets is a niche market. If you walk up to most people on the street and say, are you a jazz fan? They go, ah. However, if you take that same person and you set them down in a jazz club and someone's playing the piano and there's a saxophone and there's a bass and it's mellow and there's a glass of wine, the lights come down, and they go, I like this. Yes. I like this. So it's been a gradual process of bringing people into that experience. Because once they've experienced it, the work's over. Then they're self-motivated. Good venues, interesting venues, like right here. In 3 weeks, we're going to have a piano player from New York City sitting right here, and chairs all around, and lights shooting up these pillars, and you can see the lights from the street lights outside. It's magical. I agree. The guy plays, and so that's captivating, right?
I agree. It is magical. And Lyle, I want to hear more about the other performers that you have coming in. You had mentioned about 100 performers, 50 performances, June 22nd to 29th. Stick around because I want to hear all about what you have coming up this year for Jazz Fest 2014. Stay tuned here on Shaw. Well, welcome back. Once again, we're at the Esplanade, and I'm joined by Lyle Rebbeck with Medicine Hat Jazz Fest. And Lyle, where we had left off before the break, you had mentioned you have a performer coming in from New York, but that is actually not the furthest that you have somebody coming in. So who else is coming in for Jazz Fest this year?
Well, we have a trio from Germany. Benedict Janel is his name. He also happens to to be a mathematician and to be doing research and instruction and study in mathematics. But he's an incredible young performer and composer. And he's actually teamed up with a fellow who's a native of Edmonton. He's now been living in New York for many years. And so, you know, these are the kind of things that I love getting a hold of. It's not a household name, but it may be. It certainly has the quality and the capacity to be that. You know, I can't avoid mentioning Arturo Sandoval. I've tried for so many years to get Arturo here. He's won 10 Grammy Awards, and his story is amazing. It really is. As a young Cuban, born in just absolute poverty, and an aunt buying a trumpet and handing it to him one time, and he just took to it. And then he heard Dizzy Gillespie on the radio, and his life changed. And then Dizzy came to Cuba and heard this guy and went, oh my gosh, and actually got to the point where Arturo could travel with Dizzy outside of Cuba. And then on one trip, the family came along, and Arturo said, we're not going back. And he was the first of those famous Cuban musicians to defect, and he's an American citizen now. An amazing trumpet player, and so we're really excited to be opening our festival with him.
Quite an eclectic mix of people that you have coming for the festival, and I think one of the things that I love about jazz is you really get to know the performer. There's a great opportunity for them to connect with their audience. So who are some of the other performers you have coming with that maybe the audience in Medicine Hat might be able to connect with?
Well, Jane Bennett is a familiar name to Medicine Hat audiences. She's a fabulous saxophone and flute player from Toronto, but she's really known for introducing young Cuban players to the rest of the world. And this year she has 5 young Cuban females, all in their 20s. It's a group called Maqueque. It's their first trip to Canada, and they're doing a few cities across Canada, and we're one of them. Really excited to have them here. We've got an Alberta all-star band. Everybody knows the name Tommy Banks, and most know the name P.J. Perry, great alto saxophone player. Al Muirhead is not so well known, but he is one of these guys that's been the lead trumpet player in Calgary for 60 years, and finally decided to make a CD with his buddies, P.J. and Tommy, and they're coming to do a concert. Again, just a few dates, and we're one of them.
That's excellent. Now, June 22nd to 29th is Jazz Fest this year. 8 days compared to the one weekend, one performance you started with many years ago. Yeah. Where can people get some more information? Is there anything else that you think that they really need to know about this? Do you need volunteers, anything like that?
We can always use volunteers, absolutely. The website is medicinehatjazzfest.com. That's kind of the hub of the wheel. Tickets are available at the Esplanade, at MedHatJazz if you're on Twitter. And we have a Facebook group that you can connect with us at. All of those have connections to us if you want to volunteer or get tickets or get more information. On the website you can listen to clips, watch YouTube clips of all the artists. So be well prepared for when they arrive.
Once again, it is Medicine Hat Jazz Fest, June 22nd to the 29th. Thank you so much, Lyle. I appreciate you coming out today.
Thank you.
And we're going to let you and Rick close out the show right after this.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck to all the performers for that Medicine Hat Jazz Fest, once again coming up June 22nd to the 29th. For more information, www.medicinehatjazzfest.com. I'd also like to thank Rick Lett and Lyle Rebbeck for performing for us today. We love those smooth sounds of jazz. While you're online, if you'd like some more information about that or other community events going on, facebook.com Shaw TV Medicine Hat is our station. We're also on Twitter at Shaw TV The Hat, or myself at Christy_Shaw TV. As we head out today, let's leave it to Rick and Lyle, and have a great day.